and let's get started. Okay, thanks for joining JavaPassion.com Java Programming with Passion webinar. I'm planning to have weekly webinar at this time, unless I travel, on every, today is Tuesday, right? Every Tuesday Eastern Time, 5 to 6 to 6:30, depending on how many topics that we are going to cover for that particular day. So I assume it's going to be usually an hour. Okay, and I'm going to send out an email on a weekly basis, maybe 5 days before, a few days before the actual webinar, and you can just register for each session. And you can just pick and choose the topics that you are interested in. If you think you know a particular topic in detail, then you can certainly skip that webinar. Again, I'm planning to record the session, so the recordings will be available on the website. So hopefully that should be covering people who couldn't make this webinar because of several reasons. Okay, so one person says, I am not able to hear. Interesting. I think other people were able to hear me okay. So why don't you actually give me indication that you can actually hear me okay? So I know Mohan, you said that you cannot hear. Is that still the case? Yeah, since this is the first time for most of you participating in GoToWebinar, let's actually make sure that we are all set in terms of seeing the screen and hearing my voice okay. I believe most of you can actually hear me okay, right? Okay. So yeah, okay, looks like everybody can hear fine. So Mohan, yeah, I'm gonna just, since you cannot hear, I'm gonna just send you an email that actually send a message to you. Everyone can hear me okay. So could you check your speaker? Okay. All right, I sent the message to Mohan. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to actually spend a few minutes going over the topics that we are going to cover in this particular course. This is from the last session. Actually, I divided into two different courses. One is a basic Java programming, and then we have a second course, which is advanced Java programming. So here in this course, we are going to cover basically the basic topics. So why don't you log in to javapassion.com, and today we are going to cover how to get started. So we're going to just probably talk about basic concept and how to get started with using IDE, in this case NetBeans or Eclipse, and how to use some command line tools and some of the basic programming concept. So if you have written any, let's say, Java programs or even programs written in different language, today's topic is going to be very basic. And the second batch of topics that we are going to cover actually the learning the basics of Java programming language in detail. For example, how to read input from keyboard. Control structure is how to use if and else structure or while loop and for loop and things like that. Array is a very important data structure, so we're going to actually spend some time learning array in detail. Command line arguments, how you can read arguments from the command line. And working with built-in Java classes. Here we're going to actually learn the concept of classes and object the first time. And then we are going to spend some time learning some of the built-in classes, meaning the classes that are provided as part of the JDK. The two fundamental packages from java.lang package and java.util package. So we're going to learn some of the classes in those two packages. And then you are going to learn how to create your own classes and, of course, create an object from it. And the concept of package is very important, and also concept of class path is pretty important. So we'll spend some time learning these two concepts in detail. And Java Beans is actually a very important component model. So we are going to spend some time learning how to build Java Beans. Basically, you have heard the term POJA, plain old Java objects, and POJA is basically Java Beans. And moving forward, and then we are going to learn object-oriented programming concepts. Three important concepts include inheritance and polymorphism and the encapsulation. And another important concept that actually cover all three important concepts of inheritance, encapsulation, and the polymorphism is the concept of abstract class and Java interface. I would say this is probably the most important, one of the most important concepts that you will have to learn in Java. So we are going to actually spend quite a bit of time learning the concept of Java interface and abstract class. And a little bit of advanced topics here, how to build in a class, how to build a class inside another class. That's the concept of inner class. I think, Mohan, you still have a problem. No, I think everybody can hear okay. So I'm going to just send the message to Mohan. By the way, the message you type in is not going to be visible to others. So if you're asking a question to everyone, they are not going to be able to see it. Okay, only I can see it. And if there is actually a technical question during the presentation, I'll repeat the question and then we can talk about it. Okay, let's see. Moving forward. And exception handling, when there is a problem in your programming logic, how you handle it. Logging is actually a very nice tool for finding out what's going on. So we're going to learn how to do logging in your program. The concept of garbage collection is pretty important. It's a built-in feature of Java programming language. And debugging and testing, so editing, debugging, using, in our case, we are going to spend most of our time using an IDE. So far, we've been actually supporting only NetBeans, but I encourage people to try Eclipse as well. So moving forward, you can use either NetBeans or Eclipse. The hands-on labs are mostly written with the NetBeans in mind, but feel free to use Eclipse. Moving forward, we are going to create a hands-on lab with Eclipse, but for now we don't have that particular lab, but creating Java programs in Eclipse is pretty straightforward. So you're welcome to use either NetBeans or Eclipse. And Java Doc. Here we're going to learn how to do context-sensitive Java documentation, or how you can create a Java documentation from your Java application. Concept of Java collection is very, very important. I would say this is probably second important topic in this course. So we're going to learn collection framework in detail. We're going to spend some time learning how to do GUI programming. We'll learn the basic concept of swing and how we can use NetBeans GUI Builder. This is like a wizard for creating a GUI. So instead of coding, you can drag and drop some of the UI components to build your GUI applications, and underneath it will create Java code for you. And next batch of technology we're going to learn is streaming I/O, how you can read from different sources of data, for example, from the network, from a file, and things like that. Networking API is how to do like a socket level programming. Let me see if you have any particular set of programs, the questions I need to address. Okay, so John's, okay, good. Question that I have from Rich, does Eclipse also have a GUI builder? They're actually in catch-up mode, and they do have one right now, even though I believe NetBeans GUI Builder is still a better GUI builder between the two. Okay. Then we are going to learn the threading. You can think of thread as actually unit of process. Okay? Understanding concept of threading is important for building threading applications. And moving forward, Java SE5 features. So Java SE5 introduces some of the important concepts into the language, for example, generics, concurrency, and things like that. And also some of the new language features. In this course, we are going to cover some of the language enhancement features. Other topics such as concurrency and generics and annotations, we are going to cover them in advanced Java programming course. And we'll touch a little bit on object-oriented programming, the best practices in this course. Okay, so this is just to cover what we are going to learn in this course. So we are going to spend next, let's say, maybe 50 minutes covering these 3 topics. So Introduction to Java Technology. We don't have hands-on labs, just a presentation. So let me go to the presentation. Okay, Introduction to Java. Okay, so hopefully everybody got the slide where you can actually see my screen. The objective of this presentation is to give you a sense of what makes up Java. For example, concept of Java virtual machine, people call JVM sometimes, concept of garbage collection, and the Java is built with the security in mind. So I'm not going to actually elaborate a lot in security concept here because it's a little bit advanced concept. We will have actually a chance to talk about Java security a bit more detail, either in this course or in advanced Java programming course. But just it's important for you to understand that Java is built with the security in mind from the beginning. And we'd like to talk about different phases of Java programming development, Java application development. Okay, for example, compiling and running and things like that. A little bit of background. Historical background was created in 1991 by James Gosling and folks. Initially it was called Oak, actually in honor of the tree outside of James's window, but the name Oak was already taken by someone else, so we had to change the name to Java. So the original motivation of Java technology was to build a programming language and platform and runtime for the consumer electronic devices such as the toasters and refrigerators. So if you think about the need for supporting this diverse set of devices, the portability of application is very important. So that is actually key aspect of Java, portability, so that you can run a single application, meaning single bytecode on different types of devices. But that actually concept didn't really take off. But at the time, the World Wide Web, Internet was actually starting, and the Java turned out to be a great programming language for the Internet, especially in the form of what is called the applet. It is actually an application that could be downloaded from the Internet to your machine and do something interesting. Moving forward, slide number 5. So when people say, what is Java? You can think of Java in 3 different perspectives. It is a programming language. It is also a development environment, and it also provides runtime environment. So let's talk about each of these in a bit more detail. Java as a programming language. Java as a programming language has been a huge success. If you actually see the data out there, Java is still the most popular language. You can actually create pretty much any kind of applications. Of course, Java has been extremely successful as a server-side language and platform, and also on the desktop applications, and you can actually see these days that Java is also actually the primary language for building mobile applications, especially with the Android platform's advent. So Android platform is using Java as a programming language. So Java is actually being used in all three different spectrum of the platforms, server-side, desktop, as well as mobile devices. By the way, feel free to ask a question, and I'll actually look into the question once in a while and try to answer the questions. Okay, Java as a development environment. As a development environment, Java provides a compiler in the form of Java-C. When you actually download the JDK in bin directory, you will see Java-C. .exe file or Java-C, the .sh file. And the interpreter is basically a runtime. So, in this presentation, you can think of Java interpreter is the same thing as JVM or Java runtime. So we'll talk about Java runtime in a bit. And the JDK comes with a lot of other tools. For example, Java Doc is actually a documentation generator, okay, and a lot of other tools. And in this course, we are going to spend most of our time using an IDE, and IDE actually use all these development tools inside. Okay, Java as a runtime environment. So when you build a Java application, first we are going to write the code, and then you're going to compile into what is called bytecode. We're going to talk about that process in a bit more detail later on. And then you can run that bytecode over what is called Java Runtime Environment, JRE. Now, there are few Java Runtime Environment examples. Of course, when you're running on your desktop, that's actually a primary Java Runtime Environment that you're going to actually work with. And the Java Runtime Environment, JRE, is also built in the browser. Most popular browsers such as Firefox, Internet Explorer, all those browsers have a built-in Java Runtime Environment. So when you have applet, if you click a page that contains an applet, if you actually click an applet link in a page, then the browser will actually run that applet inside JRE that comes with the browser. And of course, when you run your web application on Java EE server or servlet container, that servlet container contains Java Runtime Environment. And as I said before, mobile devices, platforms such as Java ME or Android platform, they have their Java Runtime Environment built in. So these are examples of Java Runtime Environment. Some of the key features of Java, again, when we say Java, Java comes with Java Virtual Machine. Again, this is the representation of Java Runtime Environment, JRE, and the concept of garbage collection and code security. Java has a lot more features than these three features, but these are key concepts of Java that make Java really successful. So I talked about the concept of Java Virtual Machine, JRE. So let's talk about it in a bit more detail here. You can think of Java Virtual Machine or JRE as a software machine rather than hardware machine. Okay? So in a sense, this is emulation of hardware. So the concept of bytecode. So bytecode you can think of as a special machine language that can be understood by Java Runtime Environment, Java Virtual Machine. So when you compile your code, it creates a .class file. Inside the .class file, basically, it contains the logics that is represented by Java bytecode. So this Java bytecode is in the form of .class file, and that class file could be run on any JVM. regardless of what is the particular hardware machine it is, or regardless of what operating system it is running on, and that's where the portability of Java application comes into the picture. Any question on bytecode? Okay. Garbage collection. So if you have written an application using C, it is your responsibility to allocate memory and deallocate the memory. The problem is the memory allocation and deallocation is a primary source of a lot of bugs in C code. So in Java, the memory allocation and deallocation is done by the system. And the thing that does it is actually called a garbage collection. So garbage collector is built inside Java runtime. So you don't have to allocate and deallocate memory space yourself. And it actually reduces a lot of bugs. Sorry about that. Okay, code security. So as I said before, Java is built with the security in mind from the beginning. So a lot of problems that you see in other code like Microsoft environment or C code, you're not going to see that kind of problems in Java. Sorry about that. Yeah, so here I'm not going to actually talk about code security in detail. I'm going to just talk about the fact that Java is built with the security in mind. Now, concept of class loader. So I'm looking at slide 13. Okay, all right. So the question that I have from Michael, does .NET has garbage collection feature? Yes, it does. So garbage collection is now a popular concept for pretty much all programming language as well as platforms. So you can safely assume that the most modern programming language does garbage collection as a built-in feature. Class loader is responsible for loading classes into your Java virtual machine. Now, the role of class loader in terms of security is, if you think about the fact that Java code could come from remote location. For example, an applet. You're downloading an applet from the remote location, and you don't know whether that applet is actually doing something malicious or not. So class loader is actually making sure. Class loader has a concept of namespace, so it can tell where the class is coming from. Then it will actually impose different security standard. So if the code is coming from a local file system, obviously that has a less chance of actually doing something harmful to your environment than the one that is coming from the internet, right? So class loader can actually figures out where it is coming from and do something differently in terms of security, the constraint. So I'm going to just move on. Bytecode verifier. So, when you get the bytecode, you don't know which how that bytecode was actually generated. So it's important for the Java runtime system is making sure the bytecode it has received from the remote location is actually not malicious. It actually follows the rules specified in Java language specification. So that is done by what is called the Java bytecode verifier. Again, it's actually built into the system. Okay, so this is the phases of Java application development. So you are going to use your favorite editor or an IDE to write Java code. In this case, hello.java, and then you're going to use Java compiler, which is called the Java C, to create your bytecode. So hello.class file, that is a bytecode. And then you are going to run this bytecode over your Java Runtime Environment, JRE, and it will do something that is specified in your business logic. So this is just a bit of repeat of what we just talked about in slide 15. So you write the program using your favorite text editor or IDE, and it will generate, and you're going to actually create .java file, and then you're going to use Java compiler, Java C, to compile the program to generate Java bytecode file, which has .class extension, and then you're going to run this .class file, .class Java bytecode file on the top of the Java runtime environment, and then you're going to get some output or some result. Okay, so that is a summary. This is a summary of what we just talked about. We talked about a little bit of history of Java, and we learned the Java technology from 3 different perspectives. It is a programming language, it is a development environment, and it is also runtime environment. And we also talk about some of the Java features, for example, garbage collection, and just the fact that Java is built with the security in mind. So it is a lot more secure than the platforms and programming language before Java. And the phases of Java application development: you write the code, and then you compile to create a Java bytecode, and then you run that Java bytecode on the top of Java runtime environment. Okay, any questions on Java introduction? Okay, so if you don't have a question, then we are going to move on to our next topic, which is programming environment. So in this presentation, you are going to learn how to write Java programs. And we are going to learn both command line programming environment as well as IDE, in this case NetBeans programming environment. So at the end of this presentation, you should be able to create Java program using your text editor or an IDE, in this case NetBeans or Eclipse, and you should be able to see how some of the errors, the syntax errors that you could find at the compile time, and runtime errors. Runtime errors are generated when you run the application, and some of the programming logic, or there could be some catastrophic problem, and not catastrophic meaning runtime, the system errors. That's a possibility. Okay, moving forward. So definitions: console, or sometimes we call terminal window. So this is where you're going to type some of the commands. So in Linux, it's called the terminal, and the Windows is actually command prompt. I assume you know the concept of text editor. Okay, so IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment, and basically provides a complete Java application development environment, starting with its own text editor with the code completion, a lot of refactoring capabilities and things like that. And as I said before, most of these tools come with a GUI builder so that you can build the GUI applications. It comes with a compiler, debugger, profiler, tester, and a lot more tools. And again, 2 primary examples of Java IDEs at this time are Eclipse and NetBeans. Okay, slide number 6. This is the simplest possible Java application. And we are going to actually spend some time learning line by line later on in our 3rd presentation. Okay, so let me just move on. So you're going to use your text editor of your choice, and then you're going to write Java code, and you're going to actually have that Java code in a file with the extension of .java. So in this case, you're going to save the file with the name hello.java. Okay, and you can have this particular Java file typically on the particular folder. So this folder will be the place that where you are going to have your Java code. And then you can save it. These are just two basics. So I'm going to just move on. And then you're going to compile. So here you go to the directory that you have hello.java file. And the command line tool that you are going to use is called the Java C. So you say Java C and name of the Java file. So in this case, hello.java. And it will generate hello.class file. So this is the bytecode. Slide number 10. And then you can run that bytecode. Okay, so you call Java and name of the bytecode, .class. So you don't have to specify .class. You just say Java and hello, and Java runtime system will actually assume it has a .class extension. Okay, so this Java, sometimes you see Java interpreter, and that's the same thing as a Java runtime. Okay, and then you should see the output like a hello world in this case. Errors, so syntax errors. So if you do not follow some of the rules, then you will get the syntax errors. And these syntax errors you will actually be able to find at the compile time. So if you're using an IDE, it will actually immediately flag out that there is some compile errors, and you can actually easily fix it. So if you misspell the command in Java, or if you forget to add semicolon at the end of a statement, that is considered as a compile error or syntax error, and again IDE will let you know. So this is an example. So here, suppose I try to write the hello class, and I have static, that is the keyword, and by mistake if I say T at the end, that is considered as a syntax error. And again, if you missed semicolon at the end for a statement, that is also considered as a syntax error. And when you compile the application at the command line, it will actually let you know. But typically, you are going to use an IDE, and IDE will flag out immediately. So that's the way that you can find out something was not right. If you're using command line tools, Java C compiler will detect it. Runtime errors are errors that will not occur until you run your applications. So typically, we are talking about the programming logic errors. For example, you want your program to print 100 strings of hello world, but it only print 99 times. And your program gets an input from the user, but the user inputted a character, even though you want it to be a number or something like that. So runtime errors are errors that occur when you run the applications. And those are different errors from syntax errors that are detected at the compile time. Okay, so we have seen our first Hello World application. We actually go through the process of writing Java application, Java code, compile it, run it, and we also learn the concept of syntax and runtime errors. Any questions? Now we are going to just spend about 10 minutes going through the hands-on lab. So from this topic, we have a hands-on lab, and actually I'm going to give you about 10 minutes so that you can actually do the hands-on lab. I mean, it will take a lot more than 10 minutes, but at least I want you to get some exposure to how to write code. Any questions on the presentation? Okay, so if you don't, let's actually go to the hands-on lab. So if you download lab 1001, which is the 1001-Java SE dash the program PROGENV, PROGENV, and if you unzip it, and it will create the progenv Java SE underscore progenv directory. Underneath, you will see index.html file, and that is the documentation that you are going to use for doing this lab. Okay. So here we actually learn how to install the JDK 6 and NetBeans IDE. So JDK, we talk about Java as the three things. Java actually means a programming language, and a development environment, and runtime, right? So when you download JDK and install it, we are basically using Java as a development environment, and NetBeans IDE is using JDK underneath. Okay, and then we are going to learn how to build the simple Hello World Java application, first using NetBeans IDE, and then we are going to build it at the command line as well. Okay, so if you go to this particular website, this is the screen capture that I captured yesterday. So this is what you are going to see. So you are going to actually see different package, and you can actually use any of these. So for example, you can download JDK here, and then, or you can actually download JDK with the Java EE. If you're writing Java EE application, we're not going to write any Java EE applications, so it's not needed. If you're writing Java FX application, this is bundled with that. And if you want to do a single downloading that includes NetBeans, then you can download this one, and then it will actually install JDK as well as NetBeans. Okay. So for now, in this particular hands-on lab, we are going to actually do it in two separate processes. One is download and install JDK, and then download and install NetBeans. Okay, so you click this guy, and you're going to select your platform, and then you can download the actual the file, and then you're going to install it. So you're going to see some of the license agreement screen, and where you want to actually install it. If you want to change directory where you want to install JDK, you can change it here, and just go through the process and you should be all set. Okay, so that's JDK installation, and then second step in this exercise, you're going to download and install NetBeans. So if you go to this website, so any bundle that include Java SE, that should be good enough. So you can actually either download this one, or this one, or this one, or if you are writing Java EE application, Ruby application, Grails application, everything, you can actually download this one. But in this course, only thing that we need is basically Java SE. So, any of 4 bundles in this case should be good enough. Okay, so once you install NetBeans, so now exercise 1, once you install it, and if you start the NetBeans, this is what you're going to see. As you can see, hands-on lab captures every single step, so it should be easy enough for you to follow. And again, I'm going to create hands-on lab that includes the steps of how to install and how to start with the Eclipse as well moving forward. For now, we don't have it. So now step 1.2, we are going to create new project. So file, new project. And then it will give you this new project dialog box. Here you can choose a category of Java applications that you want to create. In this case, we are creating a plain Java. So select Java, and then you are going to select Java application. And click Next. And then you are going to give a name. Project name, so you fill in the whatever project name you want to give to this project. And the project location is where NetBeans maintaining is project metadata and its project code. So it could be any place. Okay, so in this case, I have a directory called my project. And then here, I'm creating a main class called hello. Okay, typically you are going to have a package and dot, package name dot, and the main. Because we haven't learned the concept of package, we are going to just have hello in the root directory, which is not usually a good practice. Okay, so you can just type either my hello project package dot or hello, or for now we are going to just type hello, meaning we are going to create hello.java file in the root and click finish. And NetBeans will create this very simple Java code. So here we are going to add a line. This is simplest possible programming logic that we are going to execute. So you are going to type system.out.println, and then you have some message that you want to display. So basically this command, this statement is saying I want to display this particular string in a standard output device, in this case display. Okay, like this. And then we are going to actually experiment with a syntax error. So here, so instead of void, we are going to actually add X. And this is just to intentionally see how the IDE handles a syntax error. So you can see the red circle here, and if you move your mouse on the red circle, it will tell you what the problem it is. So it cannot find symbol of void X, okay, which means void X is not a valid keyword. So you remove that, and then you see that the error indication, error flag is gone. And then you're going to build and run the application. So basically in NetBeans, you right click it and then you select run it. And by the way, when you run it, when you actually select run it, it will actually compile first and then run it. So those two-step processes are done automatically. So, or you can actually click build, and then it will create the class file. And then you can select run. Okay, so if you select run, it will detect the class file has not been created, so it will create class file by compiling, and then it will run it. And then you're going to see the result. This is my first Java programs. Okay. Now exercise 2 is doing the same thing using command line tool. Okay. And here, so you are going to create a particular directory. This is the directory that you are going to build your Java applications. So in my case, I created my Java programs, and I go into that directory, and I'm using whatever editor of choice. For example, I can use Notepad, and then hello.java file, and then I can add these lines of code. And then I'm going to use Java compiler, I'm going to use Java compiler, Java C, and hello.java. Okay, so I'm basically saying, please compile hello.java file into Java bytecode, meaning it will generate hello.class file. Okay, so once that is done, you can actually say dir, and then you will see hello.class file is there. If you have a compile error, if you have a syntax error, then it will definitely let you know. And then you are going to run the application. So when you say Java hello, basically what you're saying is I'm running hello.class bytecode on the top of Java runtime. So this Java actually represents Java runtime. and you can modify. This is my first Java program, and then you compile again and you run the program again, and you will see different result, of course. Pretty straightforward, right? And step 2.2, you can see a lot of options. So if you say Java C space dash help, it will give you all kinds of different options. For example, you can specify the destination. So when you say -d and directory, that's where the class file will be generated. If you skip this one, as a default, it will generate at the current directory, meaning it will generate the class file, bytecode class file, in this case, hello.class file in the current directory. You can actually use a verbose mode for compilation, then it will tell you a little bit more detailed information. Here we experiment with the compilers. So here, Java C will detect the syntax errors. And 2.3, we are doing some experimentation with Java Runtime Environment. So again, you can actually see a lot of different options. So if you actually add -client option, it's actually running Java Runtime Environment optimized for a client type of machine. If you say Java-server, then Java Runtime will be optimized for the server. So it will use a little bit of different heap space and things like that. Okay, so here you can also use verbose mode when you are running your Java class file using Java Runtime. And you can see a lot more information here. Okay, so this is relatively straightforward, and we have only, let's say, 10 minutes left. So I'm going to actually move ahead with the okay, so let me ask you, I actually plan to have this the webinar for an hour, and we have just 10 minutes. And actually the third topic, programming basics, that is that actually has about 100 slides. That will take about, let's say, about 40 to 50 minutes for presentation. So my thinking at this point is I will have another webinar before the next one, meaning I will have maybe in a few days. Today is Tuesday, so I'll maybe have another webinar for the third topic, Java Programming Basics, and then next Tuesday we'll actually go through our the schedule. So I think that would actually work better instead of actually me just starting it and not being able to finish. So we have actually 12 minutes, and I'm going to actually entertain questions, as well as feel free to do this exercise. These exercises are really straightforward, and if you have NetBeans and JDK installed, you should be able to do this right now in 10 minutes. Okay, so until 6 o'clock, let's use this time for questions as well as to the lab. And if you have any questions during the lab, feel free to ask. Okay, question from Rich. When is our homework due for week number 1? Okay, so all homeworks are due 2 weeks after the last session, meaning I believe our last session is sometime early July. So you have plenty of time to finish all your homeworks. So, there is no weekly due date. So the due date is basically in 5 months. Any other questions? Okay. So as I said before, the weekly webinar, including the one that I'm going to have on this coming Friday for addressing a third topic, you have to actually register for that. Okay, so there is a single registration for all webinars. It is actually weekly registration. hopefully that's not that much of a big deal for you. Okay, question from Michael. Can we take SCJP exam after the class, or do you need advanced class 2? You should be able to take SCJP exam with this and probably a bit more. For example, like annotations and a little bit of concurrency and generics. I mean, those 3 topics from advanced class and this course should let you prepare the SCJP exam. The question from Brooks. When using an IDE, can you specify and use various options that you discussed? Verbose, version? Absolutely. Yeah, so basically IDE does a lot more than the command line tools. Okay, it's in fact a superset. So anything you can do with command line tools, you can do with an IDE and more. Question from Catherine. When will we be able to register for Friday webinar? So I'm going to send out the webinar announcement after today's webinar, meaning maybe in 30 minutes. And then you can register.